Yes, I know, I accidentally skipped Stormblood. I didn't mean to. If you're interested in that story, the video I made about how that happened is linked in the description below. This video, however, is about my thoughts on Zenos after skipping Stormblood, which apparently is where like the bulk of his story comes from. At the time of this video, I still have not started Stormblood. Check out those Tuesday night live streams to watch my playthrough. The moral of the story is that there is no meta knowledge here to influence my thoughts on him, which is why I pushed back my stream start date until I could get this video made. Let's dive in. So starting with Shadowbringers, I was already a little bit confused because I missed a whole chunk of the war and whatever the fuck else happens in Stormblood. But then comes Zenos. His first appearance is at like level 76 of Shadowbringers after listening to Emmett Selk monologue for half an expansion already. Then we get an update on the war with Estinian and Gaius discussing next steps and where it looks like things are heading. All the while their conversation is being eavesdropped on by an ominous armed figure who mentions that he's inside a new body, talking about his enemy and his friend can make him whole again. At first glance, he just seems blood hungry and like misses his dad or something. Fuck if I know.
Father.
Then like some odd whole bunch of, I don't know, main scenario quests later, we get another meanwhile scene from the Imperial Palace. Zenos Elidibus is talking to his dad about making sure the people know he isn't possessed, which he is. At this point, I'm sure Stormblood players have some sort of emotional reaction about him being here, but I literally have never seen this man before and don't know why I should care about him, besides that he's the Emperor's son and the reveal that they're working with him itself, which isn't even that shocking of a reveal at this point, really. Then he flashes his Ascian mask, and I realize, oh, he's Elidibus possessed, and the armored guy from before probably has the actual Zenos inside, which explains why he said he couldn't talk to dear old dad in that body. As an aside, what a shitty dad knowing his son's body is being puppeted and just really doesn't seem to give a shit.
I literally don't even care.
But this video is about my thoughts on Zenos. Anyways, here comes the actual Zenos waltzing in looking for his friend, which seems to imply me, the Warrior of Light, and I'm sorry, but I still don't know who the fuck you are, so we're really not friends in my mind right now. Anyways, he wants to know where I am and wants his body back, which, fair. He pulls out a sword to fight Elidibus to win his body back, and the cutscene ends right when things are getting good, of course. So then, nothing about either of them until like the final quest of Shadowbringers. It's been on the back of my mind this whole time. I don't know who they are. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's been forever since any update. We're back in the Imperial Palace. The Emperor is dead. The form of Zenos is standing over him. And then the soldier is dead.
You were hoping for the Ascian?
But who's in whose body? Like, I need to know. All right?
I won't go.
Zenos' body claims it's the actual Zenos inside Zenos. Slap Zenos. Look how much Zenos I can fit in this Zenos. With only his word to take for it, who actually knows? But it makes sense because he killed his father, who, like I mentioned before, didn't really seem to give a shit that he was presumably dead. Families, am I right? Zenos tells his dad he doesn't really care about running the Empire. He just wants to have fun and do some fighting and like hunting down his prey.
I will find you.
And that's everything of Zenos from Shadowbringers. So I'm very confused at this point. Let's recap. With nothing from Stormblood to go on, all I know is that he had his body stolen, fought like hell to get it back, and then once he got his body back, he killed his dad, who didn't care about him in the first place, and called him a spoiled princeling brat. On top of that, he had, to the best of my knowledge at the time, some grand illusion about us being friends and wants to hunt me down and have a contest. So at this point, I'm like, he's been brought up by a shitty dad and was kind of justified in the actions he took to get his body back. Like, it's his body and somebody took it. I would do the same thing. And later I do. And yeah, murdering his dad is a decidedly bad action, but Varus was kind of an asshole and he had it coming in my opinion. So the fact that he seems to think we're friends aside, the guy just seems like someone who's a product of extremely bad circumstances and is just a bit extreme in his response to the events going on around him. But at this point, he doesn't even really scream villain to me if you just know what Shadowbringers reveals. And him thinking that we're friends just kind of seems like a parasocial relationship where I'm like the widely known Warrior of Light and he's my #1 fan and thinks we're friends and I have no clue he even exists. So he's just a crazy fan who wants my attention, maybe because his dad didn't give him attention and he's seeking it from other figures of power in the universe. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. Those are just my thoughts. So then we get into Shadowbringers post content and we start to see a lot more of Zenos. We finally see the epic fight between Zenos, Estinian, and Gaius. Only for Zenos to get bored and bamf out of existence for a bit. Then, fighting in Garlemald is overlooked by a, yet again, bored Zenos, here enters Fandaniel, who knows Zenos wants to fight Zodiark and kill him and like absorb him or whatever. I still don't fully understand it. Which is the first time I'm like, okay, hold on, Zenos, you need to not do that, because now you're talking about God killing and like I can't have that. Then we learn that Zenos has recurring dreams of the world being set ablaze, potentially problematic for sure. Unless they're memories, I'm not sure, and neither is Zenos or Fandaniel at this point. But Fandaniel offers to tell Zenos the story of the final days, and Zenos agrees to listen. Well, he doesn't so much agree as he just kind of doesn't stop Fandaniel from telling the story, which seems to be a pattern with him, but more on that later.
I will gladly tell you the tale.
Then, Fandaniel reveals that he is using the body of a lord of House Brutus. I'm guessing this is another thing that would be relevant if I'd played Stormblood, but I honestly just kind of had the same reaction that Zenos did.
What did you say your name was?
Later, back to Zenos, still brooding, and Fandaniel still dancing around a lot. For the first time in a while, Zenos stands up to do literally anything. Guess he wants a shiny new weapon to kill me with? Good luck. I don't know. By the next time we see Zenos, I'm mostly still considering him just some random guy that's obsessed with me, which is whatever. The patches of Shadowbringers are almost over, and he hasn't reappeared. So my assumption this whole time is that they're setting him up as the big bad for Endwalker. Zenos seems to have a little bit more color now, and I'm like, okay, like I must be getting close to seeing him.
Apparently not.
Because he seems excited for once, which is kind of weird to see after seeing him just boredly nod along with everything the whole time. This guy definitely understands the H part of hyperfocus for ADHD, because this guy reminds me of me when I get really focused on a video that I'm really excited to make and I actually can't think about anything else. Or if I'm really excited about a video game and I just play straight through it or like binge watch an entire anime. You get the idea. You get the point. I probably have ADHD, undiagnosed, but it's fine. What was I talking about? Oh, right. Okay. At this point, I'm kind of annoyed with Zenos because I still have no idea who he is and what it is that he really wants with me or like to fight me. Can you just stop moping about it and can we get on with it already? So then, nothing again until the end of the Shadowbringers patches, and it ends with him staring at the moon, talking yet again about how we're gonna fight, yada yada. I get it, please, for the love of God, can we just get this over with? You're not the only one that's bored with this anymore, man. Alright, so to recap again so far. He really wants to fight, still have no idea who he is. At this point, he's a non-issue for Gilbetta the character, because she, in my mind, I mean, I guess she does because she would have experienced the Stormblood. I don't know, it's a weird dichotomy. For her, it's kind of a non-issue, but for me, it's like when a movie hypes itself up too much and puts the entire plot of the movie in the trailer, so I don't really feel like I need to watch the movie anymore. I get it. Zenos wants to fight. Like, you know, we've covered this the whole time. Is there any depth to Zenos at all, or is this all there is? I don't know. Time will tell. Cut to Endwalker. We go to Charlian and the story begins developing. Nothing yet from Zenos. Until we finally get another Meanwhile cutscene. Of course, every time it's a Meanwhile cutscene, I just start to assume it's Zenos at this point. Following the Tower of Zot, Fandaniel and Zenos seem concerned that we may have slowed down their plans. Well, Fandaniel does. Zenos more just advises him that the Warrior of Light isn't bold enough to attack them where they stand and talks about how hot we are and then continues staring off into space, probably thinking about us.
Hot. So very hot.
Then comes the body snatching solo instance. I wake up on some sort of weird date with Zenos and in a completely different body. Turns out they stole my body, and this is where my opinion of Zenos actually starts to take a nosedive from just a parasocial fan. Why in the actual fuck would this man, who to my knowledge I've never met, steal my body and then set us up on this weird, horrifying dinner date with him? First of all, if he's obsessed with me, why wouldn't he just do it in my own body? Like, that just makes more sense. Like, if you want to fight me, like, why don't you want to fight me in my own body? Just kidnap me like a normal person and we can fight, because trust, I won't be eating this food. And if you kidnap me, I will fight you. Let's go. But upon watching events play out further, Fandaniel clearly states that he asked Zenos, and Zenos didn't really say, yes, snatch her body and bring her here.
But I took his silence as a resounding yes.
Zenos didn't really ask her this outright, so I can't be too mad at him, right? Fandaniel's just doing shit. All the while, Fandaniel's explaining the yada yada yada, Garlemald Civil War, etc. Again, this video is about Zenos, not the other events of the expansions. Meanwhile, Zenos just sits quietly, eating his dinner. He doesn't even look all that excited still, even though that I'm here, literally right in front of him. He still just kind of seems bored. And then he mentions Alamigo, which I can only assume is a previous encounter from Stormblood, since I haven't encountered him there. I know it's where Fandaniel announced his idea for destroying the source, and and it's where he mentioned that Zenos wants a rematch, but I've not actually encountered Zenos there myself. So he talks more about rematching with me, I guess, and tells me that the chaos that has occurred was a gift from him to me.
Are my gifts to you alone.
Anyways, I'm fucking pissed off now. Up until this point in the game, this is, for me, the first major offense that Zenos has really committed in my eyes. Blatantly taking credit for everything. All the bullshit, the murder, the death, everything. As opposed to just sitting back and letting Fandaniel do whatever the hell he wanted and then waiting around until we could fight. Because we knew he wanted to fight and piss me off. Up until this point, we hadn't really seen him give Fandaniel any orders about specific things to do. It was kind of just always cutscenes of Fandaniel coming to him, talking a lot, and him being like, anyways, what's the relationship status of the Warrior of Light? Do they have a new BFF? So up until this point, I kind of believed that it was Fandaniel doing everything, and Zenos was just along for the ride until he could get to fight me. And I'll tell you, it fucking worked. Because fuck you for hurting my friends and the people I care about and like the literal world just to get a rematch with me. If you wanted a duel, you literally just could have showed up and fought me. I'm the Warrior of Light, I literally live for fighting. That's what the whole game is literally based around. But the audacity to bring others down just for the sake of your boredom, that's where I draw the line. Who do you think you are? Literally just met you today, and then just to take my body and go right into it, right in front of me? Sir, I will hunt you, me, down and end you, me. It's all very confused. The body snatching thing is so confusing. Then, after we literally crawl back to our friends in the other body we've been placed into, thank God for them, by the way, for knowing pretty much immediately that it wasn't actually me and was an imposter.
Who are you?
We'll return to our proper bodies. He claims he's gonna just eat the whole world so that I'll hate him. Mission success, fucking achievement unlocked. Good job. A bit later, they make a full attempt to unleash Zodiark, which is bad enough, but they possess Kryle too, don't you fucking dare, you fuck- Oh, wait, it's Heidelin that did it. Oh, okay. Well, I still have conflicting emotions about this, but it is what it is, I guess. Anyways, the pair heads to the moon, and we of course give chase at our earliest convenience. Cue another Fandaniel monologue, and then Zenos is like, so wanna fight now? And of course, being the Warrior of Light, we're super ready to do that because he asked for it, so we pull our weapon out, but we interrupted Fandaniel, so cue dramatic fall backwards into the Zodiark pit, monologue, and even Zenos seems surprised by that move. So then Zenos goes in, and he comes out all red and fiery and Zodiarky or whatever, and then he doesn't want to fight right now all of a sudden?
No.
What? Dude, for 2 expansions, I have been listening to you talk over and over and over about I want to fight the Warrior of Light. I want to fight the Warrior of Light. And I'm here, I'm ready to go, and all of a sudden you don't want to fight anymore? Come on. As an aside, he also mentions that he wants to find power stronger than Shinryu.
I must go forth once more in search of power far beyond the might of Shinryu.
And this reference seems super out of the blue, and I was really confused about it. Like, what actually happens in Stormblood? I have so many questions. I guess Zodiark wasn't powerful enough for him, so he goes off to find more power or whatever. Okay, bye, I guess. I mean, I still have no clue who you are or what you're talking about half the time anyways, so like, whatever. So then, a long time goes by. I'm talking level 83 MSQ to level 88 MSQ before Zenos makes his return. So by this point, it's not that I've forgotten about him, but he's starting to feel like a character that will just kind of keep being pushed back to the big bad for the next expansion or the next patch content forever until he's finally dealt with for good. All the way through Shadowbringers, it felt like he was the big bad, but then he just never was. And it was the same experience during Endwalker. He was this entity that we never actually interacted with until late into the expansion when the body snatching incident occurred. Like, that's the first time I've actually seen him across these 2 expansions. Even though Fandaniel has been at the forefront of everything, Zenos himself kind of felt like an afterthought in that sense. And he comes back so late that it made me wonder, okay, is he the big bad? Like, is this where it's going? Or is the story going to expand into the patches again? And we finally fight him in whatever the next expansion, Dawn Trail, is. And he went back and forth from being such a pivotal character, so intertwined with the plot, to still just some fucking guy that I don't even know in such a way that by the time he shows back up, I kind of just had to hang my head inside of myself like, this freaking guy again? He's like the weird cousin you see at only the family reunion or the holidays, and you just know he's gonna cause problems because the once a year you see him, that's literally all he ever does. Look at the similarities between these 2 clips.
You cannot still be on about a rematch.
That is and has ever been my sole concern.
Just can't believe you're actually standing here in my living room, Eddie. Never thought the day would come.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too. Yeah.
Then Euless confronts him and says that he's caused endless chaos and slaughter and murder for no good reason, and Euless is correct. Zenos then, to his credit, makes a very good point.
Would you be happier had I a good reason?
Look, I'm not saying that what Zenos did was right by any stretch of the imagination, but if his motives were revealed to be pure, like trying to save another star, or the lives of countless others unbeknownst to the Scions, is it possible they would be more willing to let things go? I mean, look at all the destructions that we've caused, and how many people and creatures that we have killed as the Warrior of Light, trying to be on the right side of things. Zenos is a big ends justify the means kind of guy, but his ends are just super selfish. I still don't like it, but he makes some very valid points about the state of the world and those who live and fight in it, as well as those who rule and govern over it.
Ask any creature of this star and those above for answers, and they will tell you what suits their fancy.
After all of that, it seems like we're done with Zenos for a bit because we're fighting Endsinger and he still doesn't come back. And I'm like, there's not like this has got to be patch content, right? And then the glass of the world shatters and a big ass dragon shows up and the game says it's Zenos? What the hell is actually happening? I'm so confused. What goes on in store? Why is he a dragon? And also, like, why is he even here? I guess he made a deal with Kryl to be able to come here and help. He mentions here that he reclaimed the form of the dragon, so I guess this isn't the first time he's been like this either, but it was news to me and very confusing. I guess it's still confusing because I how does he become a dragon? I swear to God, if this isn't revealed in Stormblood, I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's real weird to just like accept his help, but I guess it's kind of cool to fight Endsinger with 7 of my closest friends on the back of a dragon, which just happens to be Zenos. Does this redeem him in my eyes? Definitely not. He has shed far too much blood, but he helps me in a big way, so I guess he earned the fight that he gets. And it was also weird to me that this guy who I never really spent any time with had like a pretty good grasp of who I am as the Warrior of Light and my motivations. Cause yeah, I like to fight. I'm the Warrior of freaking Light, man. I do all this because it's the right thing to do, but I like fighting too. I'm an adventurer. This is why adventurers choose this life, because of the excitement. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Anyway, if you'd have just come to me and wanted to fight, we could have just fought. You didn't have to do all this. Cue one of my favorite songs of like the entire game during the solo instance while we finally fight one-on-one with Zenos and get to literally punch him in the face. Like, that uppercut is insane. It's an epic cutscene and fight, and I enjoyed it a lot, despite still not having all the backstory on Zenos. So finally we defeat him, and he dies, having lost again, and being very disappointed by that. And while I still think he's just a big old jerk, this scene was one of my favorite scenes in the game. The two of us laying there on the ground after the fight, just existing in that moment, was peaceful. And such a contrast to the fight that we just had, that I thought it was a really great way to end this story of this random guy that was obsessed with me. Okay, before I recap my final thoughts, now that we've gone through all of my experiences with Zenos, I want to take a moment to say thank you if you made it this far into the video, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe. It truly means the world and helps me out, and I do hope to make more like original content like this in the future. More on that later. Back to Zenos. At the end of everything with Zenos, I mostly feel sorry for him. He's clearly had a bad upbringing. And at the end of the day, I think he was just super lonely, and it manifested itself in an obsession with the Warrior of Light. The entire time we see him in Shadowbringers and Endwalker, he says he's bored of everything that doesn't have to do with fighting us. In my non-professional opinion, I think Zenos was confusing boredom with loneliness. I think in their simplest form, the two can feel very similar, but I equate boredom with having some sense of having no purpose or direction, and Zenos had a very clear purpose the entire time we see him, but he didn't have the person that he was directing all that energy towards, the Warrior of Light. So I think in the end, when he loses and he says he's disappointed, I think he is, but I don't think he would have ever been truly happy even if he won. Because what's the outcome, right? If he wins, he either comes to believe that the Warrior of Light was not a truly formidable opponent and he feels like he's wasted his life trying to fight us again, or he just loses the high of chasing the victory altogether. Because part of the whole, it seems like, now I don't know, again, I haven't played Stormblood, but from what everything he said, it seems like he lost the fight. I mean, it's the Warrior of Light. Like, he probably lost a fight previously. And he was chasing that win because it was like the only time he'd ever lost. And so I think if he won, I think it would have just stripped all that away. I think losing was the only true way that he could move on. He spent all this time, he did everything he could to become as like powerful as he could be to try to beat us, and he still lost. That's the only way this ended somewhat peacefully for him, I guess. I definitely don't think he's a good guy, and I don't really consider him a friend, but I do think his actions make sense in the scope of what I know of him. That's not to say that I think they're justified, but just to say that they're the actions I would expect of someone with a predisposition to violence that was cornered into very bad circumstances. And it's so interesting to look at him through the lens of Shadowbringers and Endwalker only, and I'm curious to see if my opinion will change. When I get through Stormblood, will I look back and think, okay, yeah, I probably would have considered him a friend or frenemy? I don't know. Again, the relationship from this perspective specifically was so parasocial. It's just kind of sad, and I feel bad for him. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen after I play Stormblood. Yeah, so let me know in the comments what you think about that. Also, if you want to find out live if my opinion's going to change, come on over on Tuesday nights and catch my live streams of Stormblood as I discover how in the hell we got here to begin with. Also, let me know in the comments if there's any other characters, events that I should make a video like this on, Final Fantasy XIV related or not, and I'll look into it. I love a lot of other games. I love diving into lore. So if there's anything like that that you want to see and think would be interesting, please let me know. But anyways, thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.